What's happening, everybody? It's KMEGA coming from you live from the 405, where I'm just your regular gamer talking to the intelligent gamers. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please do. If your first time here, welcome. I do appreciate you coming out and checking out the videos that I bring to YouTube and to what I do on Mixer and everything else, from going on social media, mostly on Twitter. But here in this video, I want to discuss the latest stuff that just dropped. There's a lot of stuff that we're going to be talking about on GRG, a lot of good gaming news topics. But before, I kind of want to give my points of view and just kind of let the panel break down their points. So instead of me just going long and being on my rant like I normally do, sometimes I kind of just want to. That's why I'm doing this video, so I want to talk about this. So, okay, so Sony dropped something here today, and it basically says the SIE had made the difficult decision to delay the launch of The Last of Us Part 2 and Marvel's Iron Man VR until further notice. Logically, the global crisis is preventing us from providing the launch experience our players deserve. Now, when you read that, it's quite corporate. It's just basically saying, look, we're kind of nervous about the economic side of this. We feel that there's people that won't have the funds to help support the game that we're going to drop that we spent a lot of bread on. So therefore, we're going to delay the game. Now, I can look at it from two different perspectives. I think that's just more of the logical thought process behind it. But then I go into social media, and again, I see people post stuff all the time, and I just kind of look at it, move on, whatever. It is what it is. But then there's sometimes that there's those ones that get me, and it's this thing to where, especially when people like to get out and call, people that like Xbox or prefer something else other than Sony or whatever. That people want to call people out of their names, to call them, corporate slaves, all this type of other stuff. But then I seen probably the most ridiculous damage control I've ever seen, ever in a long. Well, I can't say ever because I know I've seen quite a bit, but this was up there. This was up there. It made me comment because, and I'm not gonna show it and I'm not gonna read it. I'll just say it in verbatim. Let's say it. Okay, so basically, it was trying to give the point that this pandemic that's going on in the country is, there's people that's needing toilet paper, there's people that's needing water because all those things are not around, and therefore people shouldn't be upset about physical games because planes and trucks need to put toilet paper and water on them instead of copies of games. Okay, so logically, if you think about that, it seems like, oh, well, people are complaining or upset about something because of there's no physical copies or whatever towards the game. But then I looked at it from like, what? Like, so I mean, if you look at it from that standpoint, and this is the comment that I made. I said, well, I never knew that digital copies of games had to be taken on a plane. And of course, the person got pissed off because I just hit him with the kablooah blast and just shut that, like the ATFs just shut that shit down. Like, it was just ridiculous. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I understand that because of what's going on, things have changed. We have to be cognizant of it. We have to be aware, and we can't be just self-absorbed, just thinking everything should just be our way. I get that. But to make that point, when you just read what Sony is what PlayStation just said, it's like, look, it's an economic issue. You know what I'm saying? It's not so much that we don't have this game ready to go, because from my understanding, the game is ready to go. And it, you know what I'm saying? And of course, they've given multiple dates, so obviously they must have felt that the game was close when they did it last year. But when a Takaku article came out, when they was talking about the crunch and all that, they said the game wasn't optimized like they want to because there was so much turnover and there was so many people that's left and things of that nature. But people tried to downplay that and said game's already ready to go. All that. That's exactly what the people said. The game was already ready to go. They said that, I think, believe last month. No doubt, because they went after the one of the devs that went to Microsoft and kind of threw this out there and got people to start questioning this whole crunch situation, right? But That's neither here nor there. Point of it is that the game is ready. If you made an article saying that the game is ready, then why is it being delayed? When all you have to do is sell the game digitally, and then you could go ahead and give hard copies later on when after the situation dies down and things are in a better better standing. And I think that that's the logical, the best solution for gamers. And right now is the perfect time for people to get on these games because it seems like we're going to be sitting at home chilling for a little while, and the only thing that most of us gamers have to do is just game. You know what I'm saying? So it would be the perfect time for that. But to push this game back gives me another thought. You know what I'm saying? Which I'll say here a little bit later. But I just wanted to keep touching on this fact of what was just posted, and then I'm reading other people's comments by saying that I was disgusting because I'm over here. My behavior was wrong because I made that comment of talking about digital copies. This is the thing that cracks me up. It don't get me mad. It makes me sad for people who, and that's the reason why I made that comment. Because like I say, normally I don't even mess with it. I just kind of let them go on and just have their little field day of doing whatever they're doing with their nonsense. But this was kind of to me was dangerous because what they're trying to say was, oh, you can't say anything. You can't question any motives of what Sony does. It's because of the fact they put the pandemic in the place of what's going on. Which, in all actuality, if you have an article that said just a couple of months ago, or weeks ago actually, saying that the game was already ready to go, they just fine tuning a couple of things, then why would you not release it digitally? And that saves costs and everything else. Well, everybody doesn't want to get the game digital. People want physical copies. I totally understand that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, a lot of people wanted Charmin toilet paper, but they got Sunsoft or Angel Soft or something else. But regardless, they still had to swallow their pride and get what was available. And if they want that game would be provided digitally, then swallow your pride and take it, and then just wait and then get a physical copy when the time comes. You know what I'm saying? It's just no nonsense, just common sense. That's all this is. There is no spin to it. Just there's no other way to make no other argument about it, right? So that just shuts down all that theory of just what was put out there. But what was dangerous about it is that people was trying to make it out to where, oh, you can't talk about that. Not during these times. No, because if this was different, if this was Xbox, let's say this was Halo Infinite, how do you think this would play out? I think we already know. If Microsoft came out and said that Halo, and that still could happen too. That's another point that I'll be making here as well. But let's just look at this from a different side of this, from a different angle. If Xbox came out and said that Halo Infinite was going to be delayed due to this, how do you think that content creators, media, and social media will react to that? They would take anything that was said that maybe that there was some development hell going on. They would take the fact that the Xbox is not ready. They would take everything else and make it turn out to be something completely way different than what was probably reported. But then in all actuality, it would probably be the same thing of what this point was that Sony made. Look, financially, we just don't think that there'll be a lot of people that get it. You know what I'm saying? Because of the situation. Economically, you know what I'm saying? We spent a lot of bread in this game. And as a business, you would think, okay, there's nothing wrong with what Sony said. It's just that how it's being presented, it's corporate and it's you know what I'm saying, and it's basically just the underlying saying, look, man, we spend a lot of money and we want to recoup that money back and we want to sell as many games as possible. I don't have a problem with that at all. I'm not saying that what Sony did was shady or nothing. I just said this is what they really was saying, right? But if this was Xbox, this has been everything else other than that point. And probably they would add that point too and say, "Oh, Xbox is greedy." We already know this, right? So it's funny to me how there's so many people that try to get into this you can say this, I can say whatever I want to, but no, you can't say that. That's bullshit. I'll say whatever I want to, and if people take my video for being slander towards whatever, by all means, go right ahead and try to do it that way. When people listen to the video, they'll totally understand my point of view, and and know that whoever was trying to spin it to make it seem like that I'm trying to hate on the fact that Sony was thinking economically, they're foolish. You know what I'm saying? Or I tried to twist this into something about the pandemic or whatever the case may be, because people like to lie and do shit like that, which is really, really sad because that means they don't have an argument whatsoever. So they want to make things up, chop things up, do it. They've done it before. They can do it again. I don't care. I'll still be doing what I'm doing. But common sense thoughts, you know what I'm saying? The common sense thing about all of this. This is what Sony could be doing if the game is ready to go. They could send that digitally, and then they could do collector's items and physical copies later. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? That's all they have to do if the game is ready. But then there's another thought to this as well. Now, also in those articles, there, what that dev was saying, and then there's also other stuff about the PlayStation 5 and all that stuff. That's something we'll talk about on GRG tomorrow. But what if this game is not actually really running or performing well on the simpler hardware? On the PlayStation Pro or the on the just regular PlayStation, where they have the bulk of their fan base. What if it's not running well? What if it's not performing the way that it's supposed to be, and they rather wait and push it until a PS5 launch, which I always thought it made more sense to show The Last of Us 2 on the PlayStation 5 than you would do it now, which but I understand it because there's not going to be as many PlayStation 5s in the wild as there is PlayStation 4s, so therefore you want to get that game out, you make as much money as you possibly can, and then kind of double dip on them again, or however they're going to play this out. But if they're going to push it out until the PlayStation 5 and then release that on all consoles, then that'll be fine too. I mean, it's much more attractive to sell a PlayStation 5, in my opinion, with The Last of Us 2 as the headliner than Gran Turismo or Godfall or maybe Street Fighter 6, if that's the rumors, if those rumors are true about that game being a launch title for PlayStation, going up against Halo. You know what I'm saying? It's not. I mean, The Last of Us 2, it's got a great standing and a great following, but we're talking about Halo, and so that really is the only game. Not even Ghost of Tsushima, because that's a brand new title. Nobody know how that game is going to play or perform, or if that game is going to be extra long or extra short or whatever. That's another great title, and we don't know if that game is going to be on limbo as well. But when you're talking about a game, what I'm saying, going to get what's PlayStation 5's lineup going to be against just one game, which is Halo. I mean, Halo is primarily, it's one of those, it's a game that's in the Rushmore of games. You know what I'm saying? Halo is one of the most beloved games out there. And I know that The Last of Us 2 is gaining steam and traction. It's got millions of fans. But we're talking about Halo here. So of course it's much more attractive to try to sell that game, to try to present that game with the PlayStation 5 than whatever else that they would want to. So I think that would be the smartest decision anyway. But um, if the Last of Us 2 is not going to perform well or whatever, so this is the stuff that I talk about that Sony can get away with. And I'm just saying, this is me speculating on this right here because I have no idea. There's just rumors. But if the game is not performing well, and trust me, if this was on the opposite side, people would already know about it. People would be wondering about it, and then it would be going into, it'd be going haywire. And then eventually Xbox would have to say something because there would be a lot of pressure of people asking these questions. PlayStation doesn't want to be so transparent if this is the case, and if this is one of the other cases. And if people can't ask questions because their Sony fans are trying to block that from saying you can't ask these questions, or they try to hide behind the pandemic, then that's pretty ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? If the game is just not ready, the game is just not ready. I mean, people have been waiting for a whole generation for the game any damn way. If they're going to wait another 6 months to another year for it, I'm sure that they'll wait for it. They'll be disappointed, but hey. And then what if about the flip side? What if Halo gets delayed? Well, Halo could get delayed. A lot of these games could get delayed after here because I was making a point about Final Fantasy VII, but then I kind of looked back on that because people were saying, well, Final Fantasy VII is already being given out, copies being sent out and things like that. So I kind of had to scratch that. But when you're talking about like Avengers, Cyberpunk 2077, stuff like that, like if those games start getting delayed, then we know that most likely maybe Halo most likely will get delayed. The only saving grace for Halo though, or for Halo and for Forza and for whatever else that Xbox will probably have to provide is Game Pass. And when I brought that point up, there was people that asked me, what does Game Pass have to do with this? This is Game Pass, what it's got everything because people still have subscriptions, and then those games can be shipped out digitally, and that means that they don't have to worry about the physical aspect of it, until later if people really want a physical hard copy. Like I said, if people want to play these games, they will buy them regardless if it's digital or if it's just vice versa. Let's say that there was some weird kind of computer glitch and all digital games couldn't be bought. Then all of us have to go back to the old school method and buy physical. What I'm saying? I would swallow my pride and have to get up and go to the store and go buy a game. You know what I'm saying? So it's no big deal. Either if I want that game, I'm going to get it. That's just the logical thing about it. That's just what people do. If they want something, they'll go get it. And if they have to go through hoops sometimes and do things that maybe that they don't want to do, if they want it that bad, they'll still do it. So it's just no different than if there was physical games available. Hey, then I would have to buy it physical, and there's no problem with that. So I don't see why people would have a problem of me saying if Sony goes, went digital with the game for those who want to buy it at that point in time, and then if people want to wait, then that's fine. But Game Pass could be the saving grace for Halo and for Xbox games. Can't say anything about the third party and second party and for the multiplats because nobody knows. And PC gamers has been dealing with this situation and not having a problem with their games being all digital. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know. I know they might still sell a couple of hard copy games, but for the most part, I think 98% of the games that are on PC are all digital. So it's not the end of the world as some people tried to make it out. It was really crazy. I don't know, but I don't know, man. It's to me, it's like, hey, as gamers, we have to make a lot of adjustments because of what's going on, and that part is true. What Sony is doing, hey, it's a business. I totally get it, but don't try to damage control this, and please do not try to act like a person that may not be looked at in the PlayStation fanboy circles as a part of that community. Even though I own the console, I play these games and been probably playing PlayStation games a lot longer than some of these people that are out there that kind of bitch and complain about other people talking about Sony. But don't have this attitude like we can't have a voice when it comes to talking about PlayStation because damn it, I will talk about PlayStation anytime I want to, how I want to. It's just the fact that I just do it with some common sense. I don't have to just berate and bash. People take it with a grain of salt and say what they want to about it. But that's why I like to see what the comments are. I wish this could be live, but of course, YouTube with what their tactics are. So, maybe if everything keeps rolling when we do keep doing GRG, do our live shows on Mixer, then maybe I can start doing live videos on Mixer. But for right now, let's just do it this old school way. Just do it and then just read the comments and go from there. But I really want to hear you guys' thoughts about this. This is really a trip to me because like I said, I think it's more strategic than it is talking about the global crisis. And when I mean strategic, I'm talking about like financially and maybe moving the game to what I'm saying to entice gamers for whatever that's going on because the game is already going to be popular. The Last of Us 2, I'm talking about. But it's just it's just really odd, and what I'm saying, and I feel that it should be asked by even so the hard Sony fans should ask this question. You know what I'm saying? So, but trying to hide behind to try to make it out to be, well, if you question this, then that means you're disrespecting all the all the people that has been affected by this pandemic is absolutely atrocious. It's stupid, and those people need to do something with themselves. But anyway, man, I really appreciate you guys checking out the video. Leave a comment. Like I said, if you are new to the channel, please follow. And check us out on the GRG podcast tomorrow night on Mixer, 8:30 Central, 6:30 Pacific, and 9:30 Eastern. Man, we'll see you guys then. Peace. Catch you. Probably me out there doing some streaming or something later on tonight. Everybody have a good one. Peace.
Hey, thanks for checking out the GRG podcast. All your gaming news and our special topic of the week. Make sure to join us every Friday night, 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central, and 6:30 Pacific. This was the GRG podcast.